The Nephilim and UFO Connection. The topic of the Nephilim is hotly debated among Bible students, scholars, and even skeptics. In this episode we will dive into the topic of the Nephilim because we believe it is related to unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, formerly known as unidentified flying object, UFO. Since this is a very sensational subject, we will try to avoid speculations and deal with the facts only. Even though we will provide our opinion about the subject, our main goal is to present you with as much information as possible from various perspectives. We will include information from various sources, but our presentation is from a biblical perspective where we will examine the Bible texts that are related to the subject. We will also look at Bible commentaries, dictionaries, apocryphal books and other resources to check what scholars and others have to say about the topic. Who were the Nephilim? Most people have probably heard of the great flood that happened during the time of Noah, but many do not know the main reason behind it. The story is found in Genesis 6 verse 1-4 where we read in the English Standard Version, ESV. When man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive. And they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh, his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of man and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. While the ESV transliterated the Hebrew word Nephilim and did not translate it, the King James Version, KJV, translates it as giants, which is important for our discussion because the KJV is following the Septuagint, which is a Bible translation from Hebrew to Greek, that many scholars believed was used by the early church, and most of the quotes from the New Testament Greek text are taken directly from the Septuagint. The first question to answer is who were the sons of God? The main interpretation that has been adopted by most of the Christian church since the 4th century is that the sons of God were the godly line of Seth, which is the naturalistic view of the event. Seth was the son born to Adam and Eve after Cain had killed Abel. However, many have taken the supernatural view that the sons of God were angels. To be fair, we will present evidence from both sides of the debate before we decide which view is the correct one. Arguments against the angelic view. The main argument used by those who hold to this view is from Matthew 22 verse 30 where Jesus stated, For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. What those who quote this verse to defend the godly line of Seth view fail to realize is that the fact that angels, in heaven, do not get married does not mean that they are incapable of having sex. A person's marital status has no bearing on whether he or she can engage in sexual activities. Besides, Jesus was talking about holy angels in heaven who have not fallen and was not talking about rebellious, fallen, angels who want to hurt human beings. The next argument is that angels are spirit in nature and are not capable of producing physical children. This objection can be answered by reading Genesis 18 verse 8 where it says that, Then he, Abraham, took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree while they, the 3 angels, ate. By the way, only 2 of them were angels because one of them Abraham addressed as Jehovah or YHWH. If angels in human form can eat food, it stands to reason that they can do other things as well such as having sex. Moreover, if angels are incapable of having sex, why is it that the men of Sodom wanted to have sex with the same 2 angels which ate food from Abraham? The event is recorded in Genesis chapter 19 verse 5. And they, the men of Sodom, called to Lot, Where are the men, the angels, who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may have sex with them. Another interpretation of the event that occurred in the first 4 verses of Genesis 6 that seek to avoid the angelic view is that the event had to do with believers marrying unbelievers, which is a different version of the godly line of Seth view. A simple challenge to this view is to ask its proponents a few logical questions such as, what was so bizarre about the union that caused them to produce Nephilim/giant children? How does the union of believers and unbelievers create monsters? How come we do not see giant from the union of believers and unbelievers happening today? The last objection to the angelic or supernatural view that has been presented is that humans and angels are different species, therefore they cannot interbreed. At face value, this objection seems to have some merit. Nevertheless, it falls flat on its face when we remember the technique of in vitro fertilization or IVF, where a sperm and an egg can be united in petri dish and then the product of conception or fetus is then inserted into the womb. Angels have been in existence for a very long time and possess far superior knowledge than human beings, meaning that they are very likely to be more than capable of creating IVF fetuses. Argument in favor of the angelic view. Even those who do not subscribe to the angelic view agree that the term, sons of God, is applied to angels in passages such as Job 1 verse 6, Job 2 verse 1, Job 38 verse 7, Daniel 3 verse 25, Psalm 29 verse 1, Psalm 89 verse 7. The famed Old Testament commentators Kiel and Delitzsch, who do not accept the angelic view, agree the term, sons of God, in the previously mentioned verses, are unquestionable angels, and the fact that the passage in Genesis 6 contrasts the term, sons of God, and daughter of men, further buttress the angelic view. They even went further to say that these 2 points would lead us most naturally to regard the sons of God as angels, in distinction from men, the daughters of men. Yet, they denied the angelic view on other grounds such as Matthew 22 verse 30, Mark 12 verse 25, Luke 20 verse 34. They went on to claim that the context of the passage is the reason for their denial of the supernatural view. Nevertheless, Kiel and Delitzsch revealed their committed presuppositions that caused them to reject the angelic view when they stated, "We are quite unable also to accept as historical testimony the myths of the heathen respecting demigods, sons of gods, and the begetting of children on the part of their gods, or the fables of the book of Enoch about the 200 angels, with their leaders, who lusted after the beautiful and delicate daughters of men, and who came down from heaven and took to themselves wives, with whom they begot giants of 3,000 cubits in height." However, the ancient Jews in Alexandria, Egypt, who translated the Old Testament into Greek, in translation known as the Septuagint, used the Greek term for giants for the term sons of God found in Genesis 6 verse 2. Any reader of that translation would have understood that the translators were referring to the Greek Titans who were hybrid. This is in strike contrast to modern commentators who referred to the story as myths or fables. The book of Job is believed, by many scholars, to be the oldest book in the Bible. It is in Job that term, sons of God, is first used. Therefore, it makes sense to think of the sons of God to mean angels in Genesis, since that is what it means in the book of Job, which is the first book. Given the meaning of the term sons of God in the book of Job, it is not wrong hermeneutically to assume that the term also refers to angels in Genesis. Jewish writers such as Philo, Josephus, and most rabbinical commentators and the apocryphal books argued in favor of the angelic view. Many church fathers such as Justin Martyr, Clement, Tertullian, Cyprian, Ambrose also held the supernatural view. Therefore, we stand on firm ground that the angelic view is not a fringe idea that was invented recently. In the commentary on Jude 1 verse 6, the IVP Bible background states that, in Jewish tradition, except most of the rabbis, the sons of God, in Genesis 6 verse 1-4 were fallen angels who left their assigned place to have intercourse with women. In the earliest of these traditions, 1 Enoch, the fallen angels were imprisoned and bound. Azazel was thrown into darkness, which was applied to the realm of the dead in much ancient tradition. The last and most important scripture that substantiate the angelic view is 2 Peter 2 verse 4, where we read in the modern King James Version, "For if God did not spare sinning angels, but thrust them down into Tartarus, and delivered them into chains of darkness, being reserved to judgment." Here Peter links the angels' sins to a place called Tartarus, which is where Titans were imprisoned in Greek mythology. We have already seen that the Septuagint had paved the way for Peter to elucidate us on what really happened in Genesis 6. In West's commentary, we are informed that Tartarus is the prison of the fallen angels until the great white throne judgment, from where they will be sent to eternal misery in the lake of fire. Here, Peter is speaking of that place in the unseen world where the fallen angels are imprisoned until the great white throne judgment. The word Tartaros is the Greek pagan name for the place of punishment of the evil. Strachan says, in Homer, Hades is the place of confinement for dead men, and Tartarus is the name given to a murky abyss beneath Hades in which the sins of fallen immortals are punished. Hence 2 Peter uses this word in agreement with the Book of Enoch, where Tartarus is the place of punishment of fallen angels, and Greek mythology because he is speaking of fallen angels and not of men. Moreover, the IVP background commentary continues along the same theme, stating that one of the most prominent themes of ancient Jewish tradition, though usually suppressed by the later rabbis, was the idea that the sons of God in Genesis 6 verse 1-3 were angels who lusted after women and so fell. The term for cast into hell here is from the Greek name Tartarus, a place not only of holding for the wicked dead, and especially the Titans, the pre-Olympian supernatural beings, but of the severest conceivable tortures. It occurs elsewhere in Jewish literature as the place where the fallen angels were imprisoned. This is how the Nephilim came into the scene from the unholy union of fallen angels, who are referred to as the sons of God, and human females who are called the daughters of men, as narrated in the Genesis 6 account of the story. The main reason God sent the flood to destroy the whole human race, except Noah and his family, was because the gene pool was infected by the fallen angels. The Nephilim, as hybrids, were not created in the image of God, and would have corrupted the whole human race. There would be no more human beings left on planet Earth, as God's image bearers, if God had not intervened to put an end to the experiments started by the fallen angels. According to 1 Enoch, the fallen angels were arrested and locked in Tartarus while their children, the Nephilim which perished in the flood, became demons because they were neither angels nor humans. Their spirits were left on the earth where they remain as demons to torment humankind. This is why demons need to possess people in order to manifest themselves. These demons once had physical bodies and they still desire to live in human bodies. We have substantiated the angelic or supernatural view on biblical ground, which also links the story to Greek mythology which involved the Titans. Feel free to let us know what you think, whether you agree with the supernatural view or not. In the next episode, we will integrate the biblical story with the UAP or UFO phenomenon. We hope that you enjoy this presentation. Come back for part 2 where we will finish putting the pieces together.